Hi, everybody. Jack O'Malley, and it is the weekly update, the first one in the month of March. And it is a beautiful sunny day here in Lansing. Not sure exactly what it's like where you are. Hopefully the sun is shining there as well. I did hold off doing my weekly update, normally on Wednesdays, on Thursday, as I wanted to wait through our House Oversight Committee today, as we were having the director of Miosha in, and he was going to address some of the comments and issues of the previous two hearings where we had some thought that maybe Miosha was being a little strong-handed or not treating the city of Bay City and a private company proper in their investigation. And let me just say this, am I going to say that Miosha's guilty and that these people are guilty? No, because, in any of this, there is so much gray area, and we can't get all the information. We're not a court of law. We're not a jury. It's not as if things are, every bit of evidence is laid before us. But what we can do with what we hear is, are there some areas that we now need to look at by way of legislation and that sort of thing. Here's what I got out of Director Pickleman's discussion today. Back when the chair and he were going back and forth on some questions about the reports and things with regard to Bay City and this private company, I was having flashbacks to the first 6, 8, 10 months of the pandemic. Back when vague executive orders were now put in and would have to be enforced. I will say this, I think Miosha has a very important role keeping our workers safe. I've said that before. I think they were put in a place where they had to enforce crazy things. For example, basically, I'm paraphrasing the testimony here, but one of the complaints was in Bay City that a supervisor came out of a room into a public area without his mask. He realized he forgot it. He went back to get it. He was in violation. And a worker cited him that. And that's why, that's partly why the whole complaint began. Because somebody forgot their mask. He didn't have his mask on. He goes, oh my goodness, I forgot my mask. He goes back to get it. That's a violation. That's how ridiculous we got. You remember these crazy rules took common sense out of the equation, and people were turning people in because they forgot their mask. You know how many times I got out of my car and I went to the door of the store and went, oh crap. And I went back to my car to get the mask. Right? It's not something I had. I wasn't wearing it. And we just built on people's fear. And the other thing that I remembered in this, you may, if you followed these updates for a while, you probably remember one of the most mind-blowing examples I have. A local funeral director in my district was cited and got called on because remember when there was a 10-person limit at an outdoor funeral site? Remember that? 10 people, that was the max at an outdoor funeral. And they had 12. And someone saw that. They're 2 over the limit. And they called whoever and reported them. That's the problem we faced, and that's where we're at. Miosha, whatever the issues, they were forced into being this heavy-handed enforcement, and our governor and our government did that. And that is what I got out of this testimony today. I was having PTSD listening to this, remembering the foolishness of how our government turned our small business into the enforcement arm, how our government turned citizens into stool pigeons, not because there was an honest to goodness, full-blown, somebody's coughing in other people's faces and wiping snot on them, but because somebody forgot a mask, they got reported. Where there were 2 people over the limit at a funeral, they got reported. That is a problem. So that's where we're at. This is a funny one, enough to make you cry. The Michigan Redistricting Committee, the Independent Redistricting Committee, they voted themselves a 7% raise. Their committee is already 1.2 million in the hole. They also had budgeted now $50,000 for a documentary on how they did things. This is ridiculous. The people of Michigan voted that one in. Let's see here. Kind of a lightning round because there's a lot of things to talk about. I've talked about our pharmacy, the pharmacy middle end, the business people, the PBMs. Well, the governor signed that bill into law, and the legislation would mandate PBMs to be licensed with the state's Department of Insurance and Financial Services, which would subject them to yearly transparency reports and renewal applications, fees, and network adequacy reports. The reform also bans clawbacks, described an occurrence as a pharmacy charging a person $30 for a $15 medication, but the PBM got the overcharge. That's now illegal. Let's see here. Our state's clerks are alerting that there could be a problem with getting enough paper to run the elections this August and November. I guess there is a paper shortage. Much of the type of paper that's used, American paper companies are using the paper for boxes for Amazon and Walmart for all the shipping, but this type of paper, I guess, tends to come from overseas, and with supply chains issues and whatnot, the clerks are just alerting governments, state and low and national, that there could be a paper shortage looming. Just throwing it out there. I don't know all the details. Let's see here. We did pass out a tax cut proposal this week in conjunction with the Senate. It's got to get signed by the governor, and there's some doubts that it will happen. But basically what our two agreements said was it removed the corporate income tax, but it would lower the state income tax to 3.9%, which is good. Maybe we could go lower, but we do have to be careful. What I like about it is most small businesses do file through that personal at 3.9, so our small businesses are also getting a tax cut. There would also be a change in when you're 62 and older. Your first $20,000 as an individual, $40,000 as a dual filer would be tax-free. And then when you hit 67, it would go to 40 and 80,000. So you can learn more about it, but I think those are good things. We'll see if the governor signs it or not. I don't think she will. Let's see here. We've talked in the past, too, about the dueling health care bills. There's one in the Senate that would, and I know there's been a lot of concern about this, one in the Senate that would, they use the word privatize. It would make the mental health care system more like our Medicaid system, where there's private folks that handle the billing and the paying and all that stuff. And then there's the House version, which takes the current community mental health system and makes some changes there. I'm leaning more towards the House version, not just because it's the House, but I think talking to my locals and folks, it's probably the better plan. But they are looking at continuing a debate of the Senate version here. We'll see how it all plays out. Just want to let you know that's firing back up. Let's see here. What else? Oh, the aggregate bills that have been bouncing around for several terms now. They are sort of moving forward. I was chatting with Chair Julie Calley, and there is some discussion about it. It's interesting. I understand. I do believe that we have an aggregate shortage. I do believe there are some local governments that drag their feet on okaying these mines. And I know that some neighbors don't like it. There is some not in my backyard going on here. But I also know that I've got a township like Casson in Leelanau Township that's been, they have a mining district, and they're doing everything right. They are one of the great townships, and they would lose their authority in the system that they already have in place if this legislation were to get passed. So I am on the side of Casson Township. on that one. So at least as the bill stands now, if there's new changes in discussion, I'm always trying to get myself to a yes on any bill, right? Because you want to find compromise. You want to find a way for it to work. Let's see here. What else is going on? Oh, this is a big one. It probably won't get a ton of play, but it might. There is a bipartisan group of business leaders and former legislators and whatnot that are coming together, and they're going to try and get a ballot proposal on the ballot that would extend term limits. And it would go to 12 years, serve them any way you want. There would also be some financial disclosures. I am for extending term limits. I know there's a group that initially 30 years ago that got term limits in as we stand. Michigan has the most restrictive term limits, 3 2-year terms and 2 4-year terms. This group is still, no, this is terrible, we need to do this. Well, here's the honest truth from being here. Term limits as they stand now are hurting the state of Michigan. As I've said before, you just figure it out and then you're gone. You learn how the system works and then you're gone. I've had people here say if you really want to get real change in the state, it takes 6 to 8 years, right? Now, I can already see that I'm a rhino, I'm a bum, I just want to pad my retirement, I want to have all the free health care benefits for life. That doesn't happen here. That might be in Congress in Washington. But we get a flat payment, we get our health insurance, and when we're done, it's done. There's no long-term benefits anymore. And so please understand, I'm not here to, become Nancy Pelosi or Mitch McConnell. I'm here to try and do the best I can. And so when I'm telling you we need to extend term limits, I'm not doing it so that I can become, whatever. And I'm insulted that anyone would even accuse me of that, and they have in the past. So it's something you need to look at. I do have an issue. So I'm for the 12 years, serve them any way you want, because the House of Representatives has also become a lesser position because you're here 6 years and you're gone. There's no continuity, that sort of thing. But I do have some problems with the personal finance disclosure. I know we need some. I think that I'm not going to go into all of it here. I'm okay with some of it. I don't think we need all of it. Again, I'm not Nancy Pelosi. I'm not Mitch McConnell. I am not one of those Washington 40-year type people, right? So, and I'm not dealing with billion-dollar contracts and that sort of thing. So anyway, I'll throw it out there. Be advised it's on the radar. Like I said, a lot of stuff today. And I think that's it. Yeah, the term limits, right? Yes, we had that. That was the last one. So lots of stuff happening from the other. Oh, another one I'll follow up on. That bill that was in education that I talked about, I think it was last week, about parent transparency. I've heard from a lot of people, as I said, both conservative groups and liberal groups that had issues with this bill. Well, I've been chatting with the folks, and they are discussing it. It would be, to clean things up, it would be focused on the state level curriculum and a district curriculum so that it's all out there on the website. It wouldn't be Mrs. Smith and Mr. Jones, their lesson plans. It would not be listed on there and that sort of thing. So please know that it's being worked on, as I said it would be, and we'll see how it all plays out and how we're going. But I know I've gotten a lot of calls about that, but just to bring you up to date on the discussions that are being had. People realize that bill was not good the way it was written. Let's figure it out. Let's clean it up, because the intent of it was good. Parents need transparency so that they can go and look. Yes, they could go to the school and ask, but parents are busy, et cetera, et cetera. Why can't they go online and see what that curriculum is, both at the state level and at their school district level? So that's a lot. All right, I'm out of here. We'll check with you next week and fill you in on what's been happening in Lansing. All right, so till then, take care and enjoy, hopefully, sunshine where you're at. Well, I should tell you, too, that I'm recording this at 2 o'clock. I'll be headed north here shortly. So, all right, take care.